Tory Lanez breaks his silence and shares his most intimate thoughts about the Megan Thee Stallion shooting and trial. He opens up about his time in prison while he's serving the third year of a 10-year prison sentence. With a current release date of 2033, he is attempting to appeal his conviction again, hoping to be pardoned by the governor of California or possibly have his sentence commuted and immediately released with time served. Let's get into it.
Tonight, rapper Tory Lanez breaking his silence in his first ever broadcast interview from behind bars since being found guilty of shooting Grammy winner Megan Thee Stallion in the foot outside a party in 2020.
I've never been violent towards a woman. I would never hit a woman, let alone shoot a woman.
Lanez, whose real name is Daystar Peterson, spoke to NBC News from California Men's Colony, a prison where he's 3 years into a 10-year sentence after being found guilty on 3 felony counts, including assault with a semi-automatic firearm.
There is definitely a very big misconception about me that seems to the public as I'm this monster. And I feel like I was catapulted into this poster child for the unprotection of Black women. And it's just so unlike me. And I've never really had a chance to express that. But you can look at my criminal record. I don't have one. I never had one. And I feel like, that connotation that I would do anything of this monstrous proportion is completely incorrect and it's wrong.
Lanez declined to testify during his 2022 trial. Do you regret?
Yo, this is heartbreaking to me. This is hard for me to watch. Tory Lanez is one of my favorite artists in real life. I love his music, and I don't think he's guilty of these crimes. I agree that somebody needs to take an honest look at this case because between the Hot Girl Summer women's empowerment movement that was taking place at the time, the Roc Nation PR team manipulating the public narrative about this case, and the fact that Megan Thee Stallion got on national TV and lied to all of us about her sexual relationship with Tory Lanez in the first place, all of these things make me feel like something suspect occurred here. Also, it did not help that Tory Lanez did not testify on his own behalf, okay?
At not taking the stand?
I think if I would have taken the stand, the verdict would have definitely been very different.
The rapper's legal team filed an appeal, which was denied in November. But his team is continuing to fight, with plans to file multiple appeals next week, this time with the California Supreme Court, in one claiming newly discovered evidence that they weren't provided during Lanez's 2022 trial, including hundreds of pages of medical records for Megan Thee Stallion, whose real name is Megan Pete, which they allege raise questions about the fragments removed from her foot after surgery. His team argues that the fragments were not provided ahead of trial and that this was a violation of due process.
And we didn't have that chance. Or perhaps we could have questioned the doctors differently when they were on stand.
The lawyers in this case, they are suspect at best. Roc Nation lawyers are suspect. Tory Lanez's own lawyers, I think he had multiple lawyers, they're all suspect. Tory Lanez, you need to hire Brian Still. Brian Still got Young Thug off that case in Atlanta. He worked on the Puff trial. You need to hire Brian Still right now.
Impeach them because it does look suspicious.
But in the appeal denied in November, the court did address the fragments, ruling that the surgeon's testimony was, quote, more than sufficient to prove great bodily injury on Pete. Proving something like this on appeal is tough.
This is a really, really difficult appellate argument for defendants to prove because they have to show if the evidence actually came into court, the jury would have found differently. It's an uphill battle, and it's something that often torpedoes any defense appellate argument.
The Los Angeles District Attorney's Office and representatives for Megan Thee Stallion have not responded to NBC News' request for comment.
I believe not only that I was wrongfully convicted, but the amount of new evidence that has emerged since that trial, I think, has been overwhelming.
What has life been like in prison for the last couple of years?
Truthfully, I've done my best to keep my head above water, but mentally, I've gone through trauma that I sometimes even struggle with because I never imagined myself dealing with things that I would have to deal with. I've been stabbed 17 times. I almost lost my life.
If you could say something
hear you,
to
black man, I hear
Megan
you.
Thee Stallion today, what would it be?
Don't do it.
Um,
Don't
I
say
think
a word
that
to this woman.
I wouldn't say something directly to her. I would like that moment to happen in person. We've both gone through a
Restraining
lot.
order.
There's
No.
this connotation that like I share this hatred for her, but I don't. I genuinely passed that. I'm at a place of healing in my life. I'm at a place of taking accountability for the things that I did wrong. And when I talk about my case, I don't want it to be taken as me coming at her, because it's not that. I'm just
You better not be
asking
coming
for
at Megan Thee
somebody in the
Stallion
system
still after all
to
this.
look at my case
You
and
better
look
not
at the
say a
evidence
word to
and
that
ask if this was fair.
And with that, Chloe Malas joins us now on set. So, Chloe, Tory Lanez is also seeking a pardon from Governor Gavin Newsom.
That's right. His legal team has filed the necessary paperwork, and it is before the governor now. So they're seeking either a pardon where his criminal record will be wiped clean, he would be released from prison, or to have his sentence commuted, meaning that the time he has served is sufficient, and release him, but that doesn't change his criminal record. As to when this could happen, the governor typically does these twice a year, so this could happen before the new year.
All right. Chloe Malas for us. Chloe, thank you.
Megan Thee Stallion, no ought at all. In fact, we have prayed for her on many occasions in our times of prayer. So this monster that Alex Spiro tried to create, and when I stood in the courtroom on that day and heard a corrupt prosecutor dismiss the fact that so many people, it was overwhelming the amount of people that sent letters to their office and were called to testify before the courts as they were considering sentence, which had already been decided, and the judge blatantly showed on that day that it really didn't matter what anybody said. It was supposed to be a forum in which it would be decided based on all the extenuating circumstances, etc. But it had already been decided behind closed doors. It's so funny that there is indeed a woman who has made it her life's mission to be the whip in the press or on the vlogs. I'm not even going to call her name right now, but those who know. Everything that has to do with Tory Lanez, I believe that she is in some way compensated to spread these narratives.
Oh,
and so before the sentence was read in court,
on the trial, she was reporting
before the sentence was read in court,
Tory Lanez.
she already knew. That's really interesting to me. She already knew because she had discussed it with others, not knowing that it would come back to us. God is my witness. So moving right along, Daystar did not suffer superficial wounds. He was stabbed 14 times, 5 times in his back, 1 under his left cheekbone. In fact, his jaw was open. He was stabbed twice in the back of his head, and the rest in his torso, arms, and in his chest. It may seem sensational, but thankfully, like Dr. King, it was close to his heart but did not penetrate. After that, he was being rushed to a facility nearby in a vehicle in which he said, and I quote, "Dad, I thought it was my last." And having made my peace with God, I said, okay, that to all of you who care about Daystar Peterson, the artist Tory Lanez, around the world, the reports in the hospital is that he is doing remarkably. Hurts to laugh. That has been presented even to the courts. This is a travesty of justice. But as I said on the court steps that day, God records all of it. And I know that my son will have justice. I lastly would like to reach out via this medium to say to the governor of the state of California, sir, it is in your hand to do something about this. You have the power and the means to examine the evidence that has been presented even to the courts. This is a travesty of justice. And to allow my son to go back into that same situation, a kid that when he went to prison, one of the things he has done so far is through his music to open up the cases of over 467 people through his Hands of God project to help families who can't even pay for justice on behalf of their loved ones.
That boy's in prison
There was a
being
post showed
extorted
up on YouTube recently,
for lawyer fees.
a
Free
young man
Tory.
saying, I'd like
Free
to
Tory.
thank Tory Lanez. I would like to thank Unite the People. I'd like to thank all of them.
Cool. At the end of the day, whether you believe Tory Lanez is guilty or not, one thing is undeniable. Rock Nation railroaded that boy. And it's crazy how fast public opinion can be manufactured, because these lawyers and a good media PR team can literally steer the outcome of a case. We saw that in real time just now with the Diddy documentary. If you haven't watched it, I'm sure most people have watched it by now. But we cannot stand for this injustice. Tory Lanez is in prison, wasting away his best years, while Megan Thee Stallion is somewhere on a boat, laying up with one of my favorite basketball players, Klay Thompson. Real talk, that boy Klay literally named a boat after Megan Thee Stallion. He calls his boat the Stallion, and it is not fair. But anyways, I'm interested to know what you all think. Do you think that any of these appeals are going to work out for Tory Lanez, or will he just have to sit in prison for the entire 10 years with about 7 years remaining? Do you think that Rock Nation had anything to do with this case becoming an injustice of civil rights? Do you think that Rock Nation had anything to do with Tory Lanez being stabbed 14 to 17 times in prison? Also, do you think that Klay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion make a cute couple? I don't particularly care for it, but she's going to have to get a pass because it is Klay. All right, so tap in with your boy, holla at me, and thank you for your time.